Our well-being lies in our actions. Those obsessed with glory attach their well-being to the regard of others. Those who love pleasure tie it to feelings. But the one with true understanding seeks it only in their own actions. Think on the character of the people one wishes to please, the possessions one means to gain, and the tactics one employs to such ends. How quickly time erases such things, and how many will yet be wiped away. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, 6:51 and 59. If your happiness is dependent on accomplishing certain goals, what happens if fate intervenes? What happens if you're snubbed, if outside events interrupt? What if you do achieve everything but find that nobody is impressed? That's the problem with letting your happiness be determined by things you can't control. It's an insane risk. If an actor focuses on the public reception to a project, whether critics like it or whether it's a hit, they will be constantly disappointed and hurt. But if they love their performance and put everything they have into making it the best that they're capable of, they will always find satisfaction in their job. Like them, we should take pleasure from our actions, in taking the right actions, rather than the results that come from them. Our ambition should not be to win, then, but to play with our full effort. Our intention is not to be thanked or recognized, but to help and to do what we think is right. Our focus is not on what happens to us, but on how we respond. In this, we will always find contentment and resilience. Count your blessings. Don't set your mind on things you don't possess, as if they were yours, but count the blessings you actually possess and think how much you would desire them if they weren't already yours. But watch yourself that you don't value these things to the point of being troubled if you should lose them. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, 7.27. We regularly covet what other people have. We desperately try to keep up with the Joneses. All the while the Joneses are miserable trying to keep up with us. It would be funny if it weren't so sad. So today, stop trying to get what other people have. Fight your urge to gather and hoard. That's not the right way to live and act. Appreciate and take advantage of what you already do have, and let that attitude guide your actions. The chain method. If you don't wish to be a hothead, don't feed your habit. Try as a first step to remain calm and count the days you haven't been angry. I used to be angry every day, now every other day, then every third or fourth. If you make it as far as 30 days, thank God. For habit is first weakened and then obliterated. When you can say, I didn't lose my temper today, or the next day, or for 3 or 4 months, but kept my cool under provocation, you will know you are in better health. Epictetus, Discourses, 2.18.11b through 14. The comedian Jerry Seinfeld once gave a young comic named Brad Isaac some advice about how to write and create material. Keep a calendar, he told him, and each day that you write jokes, put an X. Soon enough, you'll get a chain going, and then your job is to simply not break the chain. Success becomes a matter of momentum. Once you get a little, it's easier to keep it going. Whereas Seinfeld used the chain method to build a positive habit, Epictetus was saying that it can also be used to eliminate a negative one. It's not all that different than taking sobriety 1 day at a time. Start with 1 day doing whatever it is, be it managing your temper or wandering eyes or procrastination. Then do the same the following day and the day after that. Build a chain and then work not to break it. Don't ruin your streak. The Stoic is a work in progress. Show me someone sick and happy, in danger and happy, dying and happy, exiled and happy, disgraced and happy. Show me. By God, how much I'd like to see a Stoic. But since you can't show me someone that perfectly formed, at least show me someone actively forming themselves so, inclined in this way. Show me. Epictetus, Discourses, 2.19.24 through 25a and 28. Instead of seeing philosophy as an end to which one aspires, see it as something one applies, not occasionally, but over the course of a life, making incremental progress along the way, sustained execution, not shapeless epiphanies. Epictetus loved to shake his students out of their smug satisfaction with their own progress. He wanted to remind them, and now you, of the constant work and serious training needed every day if we are to ever approach that perfect form. It's important for us to remember in our own journey to self-improvement, one never arrives. The sage, the perfect Stoic who behaves perfectly in every situation, is an ideal, not an end. How you do anything is how you do everything. Pay attention to what's in front of you, the principle, the task, or what's being portrayed. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, 8.22. It's fun to think about the future. It's easy to ruminate on the past. It's harder to put that energy into what's in front of us right at this moment, especially if it's something we don't want to do. We think, this is just a job, it isn't who I am, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. Who knows, it might be the last thing you ever do. Here lies Dave, buried alive under a mountain of unfinished business. There is an old saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. It's true. How you handle today is how you'll handle every day. How you handle this minute is how you'll handle every minute. Learn, practice, train. That's why the philosophers want us not to be satisfied with mere learning, but to add practice and then training. For as time passes, we forget what we learned and end up doing the opposite and hold opinions the opposite of what we should. Epictetus, Discourses, 2.9.13 through 14. Very few people can simply watch an instructional video or hear something explained and then know backward and forward how to do it. Most of us actually have to do something several times in order to truly learn. One of the hallmarks of the martial arts, military training, and athletic training of almost any kind is the hours upon hours upon hours of monotonous practice. An athlete at the highest level will train for years to perform movements that can last mere seconds or less. The 2-minute drill, how to escape from a chokehold, the perfect jumper. Simply knowing isn't enough. It must be absorbed into the muscles and the body. It must become part of us, or we risk losing it the second that we experience stress or difficulty. It is true with philosophical principles as well. You can't just hear something once and expect to rely on it when the world is crashing down around us. Remember, Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing his meditations for other people. He was actively meditating for himself. Even as a successful, wise, and experienced man, he was until the last days of his life practicing and training himself to do quality over quantity. What's the point of having countless books and libraries whose titles could hardly be read through a lifetime? The learner is not taught, but burdened by the sheer volume, and it's better to plant the seeds of a few authors than to be scattered about by many. Seneca, On Tranquility of Mind, 9.4. There is no prize for having read the most books before you die. Even if you were the most dedicated reader in the world, a book a day even, your collection would probably never be bigger than a small branch library. You'll never even come close to matching what's stored in the servers at Google Books, or keep up with the hundreds of thousands of new titles published on Amazon each year. What if, when it came to your reading and learning, you prioritized quality over quantity? What if you read the few great books deeply instead of briefly skimming all the new books? Your shelves might be emptier, but your brain and your life would be fuller. What kind of boxer are you? But what is philosophy? Doesn't it simply mean preparing ourselves for what may come? Don't you understand that really amounts to saying that if I would so prepare myself to endure, then let anything... What kind of boxer are you? But what is philosophy? Doesn't it simply mean preparing ourselves for what may come? Don't you understand that really amounts to saying that if I would so prepare myself to endure, then let anything happen that will? Otherwise, it would be like the boxer exiting the ring because he took some punches. Actually, you can leave the boxing ring without consequence, but what advantage would come from abandoning the pursuit of wisdom? So, what should each of us say to every trial we face? This is what I've trained for this is my discipline. Epictetus, Discourses 3.10.6-7. The Stoics loved to use boxing and wrestling metaphors the way we use baseball and football analogies today. This is probably because the sport of pankration, literally all strength, but a purer form of mixed martial arts than one sees today, in the UFC was integral to boyhood and manhood in Greece and Rome. In fact, recent analysis has found instances of cauliflower ear, a common grappling injury, on Greek statues. The Stoics refer to fighting because it's what they knew. Seneca writes that unbruised prosperity is weak and easy to defeat in the ring. But a man who has been at constant feud with misfortunes acquires a skin calloused by suffering. This man, he says, fights all the way to the ground and never gives up. That's what Epictetus means, too. What kind of boxer are you if you leave because you get hit? That's the nature of the sport. Is that going to stop you from continuing? Today is the day. You get what you deserve. Instead of being a good person today, you choose instead to become one tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations 8.22. I don't complain about the lack of time. What little I have will go far enough. Today, this day, will achieve what no tomorrow will fail to speak about. I will lay siege to the gods and shake up the world. Seneca, Medea, 423-425. We almost always know what the right thing is. We know we should not get upset, that we shouldn't take this personally, that we should walk to the health food store instead of swinging by the drive-thru, that we need to sit down and focus for an hour. The tougher part is deciding to do it in a given moment. What stops us? The author Stephen Pressfield calls this force the resistance. As he put it in The War of Art, we don't tell ourselves, I'm never going to write my symphony. Instead, we say, I'm going to write my symphony. I'm just going to start tomorrow. Today, not tomorrow, is the day that we can start to be good. Show me how to live. Show me that the good life doesn't consist in its length, but in its use, and that it is possible, no, entirely too common, for a person who has had a long life to have lived too little. Seneca, Moral Letters, 49.10b. There's no need to show Seneca. Show yourself that no matter how many years you're ultimately given, your life can be clearly and earnestly said to have been a long and full one. We all know someone like that, someone we lost too early, but even now think, if I could do half of what they did, I'll consider my life well lived. The best way to get there is by focusing on what is here right now, on the task you have at hand, big or small. As he says, by pouring ourselves fully and intentionally into the present, it gentles the passing of time's precipitous flight. Making your own good fortune. You say, good fortune used to meet you at every corner, but the fortunate person is the one who gives themselves a good fortune, and good fortunes are a well-tuned soul, good impulses, and good actions. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, 5.36. What is the more productive notion of good luck? One that is defined by totally random factors outside your control, or a matter of probability that can be increased, though not guaranteed, by the right decisions and the right preparation? Obviously the latter. This is why successful yet mysteriously lucky people seem to gravitate toward it. According to the wonderful site Quote Investigator, versions of this idea date back at least to the 16th century in the proverb, "Diligence is the mother of good luck." In the 1920s, Coleman Cox put a modern spin on it by saying, "I am a great believer in luck. The harder I work, the more of it I seem to have." That saying has been Making your own good fortune. You say, good fortune used to meet you at every corner, but the fortunate person is the one who gives themselves a good fortune, and good fortunes are a well-tuned soul, good impulses, and good actions. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, 5.36. What is the more productive notion of good luck? One that is defined by totally random factors outside your control, or a matter of probability that can be increased, though not guaranteed, by the right decisions and the right preparation? Obviously the latter. This is why successful yet mysteriously lucky people seem to gravitate toward it. According to the wonderful site Quote Investigator, versions of this idea date back at least to the 16th century in the proverb, "Diligence is the mother of good luck." In the 1920s, Coleman Cox put a modern spin on it by saying, "I am a great believer in luck. The harder I work, the more of it I seem to have." That saying has been incorrectly attributed to Thomas Jefferson, who said nothing of the kind. Today we say luck is where hard work meets opportunity, or is it typically flipped? Today you can hope that good fortune and good luck magically come your way, or you can prepare yourself to get lucky by focusing on doing the right thing at the right time, and ironically render luck mostly unnecessary in the process. Where to find joy. Joy for human beings lies in proper human work, and proper human work consists in acts of kindness to other human beings, disdain for the stirrings of the senses, identifying trustworthy impressions, and contemplating the natural to find joy. Joy for human beings lies in proper human work, and proper human work consists in acts of kindness to other human beings, disdain for the stirrings of the senses, identifying trustworthy impressions, and contemplating the natural order and all that happens in keeping with it. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, 8.26. When dog trainers are brought in to work with a dysfunctional or unhappy dog, they usually start with one question: do you take it for walks? They ask because dogs were bred to do certain tasks, to do work, and when deprived of this essential part of their nature, they suffer and act out. This is true no matter how spoiled and nice their life might be. The same is true for humans. When you hear the Stoics brush aside certain emotions or material luxuries, it's not because they don't enjoy them. It's not because the Stoic life is one bereft of happiness or fun.